everyone, Jolene here from Bookworm Adventure Girl. I hope that you are all well. Welcome to another Tag Tuesday video. I am still getting caught up on tags, and today I am doing the End of Days tag. This was created by the awesome Bob the Bookerer, and I love how this tag came about. Bob was doing the end of year tag, and when he was introducing it in the video, he said the End of Days tag, just by mistake. But he turned that tiny little error into this amazing tag, which I think is so brilliant and so fun. So I was tagged by the amazing Fraser from Fraser Simon's Springboard Thought. And these are two of my favorite booktubers, so please go check their channels out if you haven't already done so. I will leave a link to both of their channels and their tag videos in the description box below, so you can be sure to check that out. There are 7 prompts for this, so let's jump right in. The first prompt is prophecy, a book that contains a prophecy or promise, whether it comes to pass or not. And my immediate reaction to this was the Celestine prophecy by James Redfield, which means I'm going back in the vault way back to the early 90s. When this book came out, there was so much hype about it. It made people more aware of New Age spirituality and ideas. And I remember liking the read, and I think I even read the book that came after this one. Some of it has stayed with me. I remember, certain concepts, certain things from it regarding our consciousness and things like that. So the second prompt is Apocalypse, a book that talks about the end of the world. Books that I've recently mentioned in videos are like The Stand by Stephen King and Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel. And I enjoyed both of these books, but a book that I haven't talked about, at least in a little while, is Moon of the Crusted Snow by Waubgeshig Rice. I really liked Wob's approach to this story and just the writing of it. It takes place on a reserve, and when everything ends, the people on the reserve are so isolated that they don't actually know exactly what is happening, and they don't find out till much later. And they are also more prepared than most people, and they have to figure out how to handle strangers coming into their community. And this idea is not so far-fetched, since at the beginning of COVID, there were stories, real, true stories about people traveling to the northern communities, thinking that they would be safer there. And so the story is really good, and the sequel is supposed to be coming out soon. I am waiting patiently. The third prompt is Winter, a book that talks about the end of the year and or icy and cold conditions. So Moon of the Crusted Snow would actually fit for this as well. But the two that popped into my mind immediately were Winter Garden by Kristen Hanna and Winter by Ali Smith. Winter Garden has interesting concepts of cold, beginning with the mother in the story, who is very cold and icy with her daughters. She has been telling them a fairy tale all of their lives, and when the sisters find out the cold truth, see what I did there? When they find out about the story behind the fairy tale, they come to understand their mother better. And I also liked how the coldness of the mother is contrasted with the warmth of the father. And then Winter by Ali Smith is the second book of Ali Smith's seasonal quartet, and this has more of a subtle winter theme in it. It takes place during the winter, and there's also family dynamics in this story as well. Next is Nighttime, a book that focuses on the night or has some interesting scenes set in the dark. For this one, I thought of a book that I've read and a book that I want to read. So the book that I've read is Bird Box by Josh Malerman. In this, people need to be blindfolded, and they need the dark in order to be safe or safer from whatever is killing people. So this darkness is so important, like to the point that children are taught to wake up with their eyes closed. And I still need to read the sequel to this, so maybe I'll do that hopefully sometime soon. The book that I want to read, and that's on my wish list, is a children's book called The Darkest Dark, and this is by Chris Hadfield. I've spoken about Chris Hadfield before. You've heard me talk about him many, many times, and he is a Canadian astronaut, and this book is based upon his own childhood, and obviously it deals with space. Next, I love this prompt. It's Later Life, a book that talks about aging or prominently features older characters. And I think that this is lacking quite a bit in literature. So I love when there are authors who are willing to take a chance and have older characters as main characters. So Terry Fallis does this, Frederick Backman also does this well. But one book that I recently read is The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. And this is the first book in a series, and it takes place in a retirement home. The four main characters are all in their 70s, and they meet every Thursday to solve crimes. I will be talking about this more next week in my March wrap-up. The sixth prompt is Until the End of My Days, a book that you think will stick with you for life and or that you can imagine rereading later and still getting a lot from it. There are so many to choose from. I literally have like 10 books I could share here. But I think for this one, I am going to go with A Prayer for Owen Meany by John Irving. I absolutely adore this book. I loved the characters. I loved the story. I love that it makes me want to laugh and it makes me want to cry. I love that it still brings a smile to my face every time I think about it. And then the final prompt is At the End of the Day, a cliche or trope that annoys you. So I talked about this a little bit when I did the contradictions tag, but I don't care for the whole fake dating trope or the innocent cohabitation idea. I talked about this with Flatshare by Beth O'Leary, which was an exception. But I think the reason that these normally annoy me is that it automatically sets up the story and you know what's going to happen. You might not know all the details, but you know what's going to happen. And some people find comfort in that, which I do get. But for me, I prefer a story with a bit more intrigue. I like to try and figure it out and be surprised. A book that I read last year was Lake Redstone by J.D. Hollyfield. And there were a few things about it that I didn't like. But one of the biggest things is the trope of fake dating. And to me, you know, it makes it obvious where the story is going, which it did in this one. And it's not the kind of story that I gravitate towards. So I know this tag has been around for a bit, so I'm going to tag some people who I don't think have done it. So I'm going to tag Jack from Jack and the Book Stack, which is such a clever channel name. And I'm going to tag Kristen from Enter the Book. I will leave both of their channels below so you can check out their videos as well. Thanks again to Bob for creating this fun tag and to Fraser for very kindly tagging me. I always love doing a new tag. So please let me know how you would answer these prompts. What book do you like that takes place in winter or in the dark? What is a book about the apocalypse that you would recommend? I look forward to chatting with you in the comments. Thanks again for watching. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and don't forget to make every day an adventure.